Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Life Mastery with Todd Allen, the talk radio show that dives into the science of higher consciousness. Join Todd and his guests weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and learn how to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. Enjoy a survey of inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. It's all right here. Leading authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs with stories and messages to support your well-being, let alone your most evocative dreams.
Hey, it's another groovy day. And you already know that's because I make it that way. When I get up in the morning, I decide it's going to be a groovy day and it's already set. No matter what happens, if something different happens, I just think back to, I started off this day as a groovy day, so it's going to be groovy the rest of the day. Change course, do whatever I needed to do, and continue on. And secondly, it's another groovy day because it's Life Mastery Radio Day. I get to hang out with one of my good friends, Jackie Bailey, and we are being recorded. It tells. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Do it again, Cam. I think I probably clicked.
I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what the heck's going on with Zoom this morning. Thank you.
There's our engineer in the background. He's driving the bus. As I was saying, I get to hang out with one of my really, really good close friends, Jackie Bailey, and Jackie and I both get to hang out with some really cool people like our guests we have for you today. So stay tuned. Before we get started with the show, though, I really like to just take a minute and get myself centered and situated and ready for some great content that we are going to produce just for you. So let's just take a minute. And I want you to think about what it is that you connect to that gives you power. It could be God, Allah, the dude, the tree outside your window, whatever it is. What is it that you connect to? Think about that for a minute, and let's take in a deep breath all the way down, and then just let that breath out with a big ah. And as you're doing that, let that thought of that connection just flow up through your heart center, your throat chakra, and right out of your speaker box out into the universe, and let the universe know that you're around and you're connected. Let's do that one more time. This time, think about your dreams, vision, and goals. What is it that you want to be, do, have, aspire to do? Anchor that, take in a deep breath. And again, let that breath out with a big ah, and let that thought just flow out of your speaker box and out into the universe. And for sure, now allow the universe the opportunity to make that come true for you. And it will. You just have to focus on it. As always, my co-host is with me. Look, big smile. She's standing up straight. Hi, Jackie.
Hi. Are you you sound like my mom. Sit up straight.
I was just mentioning and noticing that you were sitting up straight. Maybe your camera angle is down.
I'm sitting on my
bouncy ball.
Yeah, it's my yoga ball. Every once in a while, it's just I just cannot stomach sitting in a chair any longer. So
how's that work? I've seen a lot of people do that. Tell us about that while I share the feed.
Well, I don't know exactly how it works. I just know that the theory is that by sitting on this ball, you have to balance yourself a little bit more, which strengthens your core. And if your core is strengthened, then you have lots more muscle tone every place else because it's all connected, right? Just like we are all connected, and our guest is going to talk a little bit about that today, I'm sure. But let me tell you a little bit about where I was over this past weekend, Memorial Day.
Yeah, I want to hear this story.
So
rock and roll.
Many of our listeners know that my husband is a rock star, literally. He heads up about 8 tribute bands that focus on Paul McCartney, Styx, Boston, the Eagles, Linda Ronstadt. He and my daughter do a Linda Ronstadt tribute together. And we've produced 6 musical stage shows together called the Tribute Time Machine. And so there's a lot of music going on in our house, but he recently, and now it's official so I can announce it, he's recently been brought on to be the guitarist in Paul Revere and the Raiders, which, yes, they've been around since the late 60s, but they are still a touring band, even though Paul Revere is no longer with us. I think they've actually changed the name to Paul Revere's Raiders. But they have wonderful music, and it's a family show. You don't have to worry about anything offensive. And so he's now with the Paul Revere band, and they did the first gig since the pandemic this past weekend at a Scandinavian festival in a little town, and I stress little town in Utah. It's called Ephraim. I think from one end of town to the next, it was about 1.5 miles. That's how small it is. But what great people. They were so hospitable to us and made sure we had everything we needed. They had to drive 2 hours to pick us up from the airport and then 2 hours back to the airport. And
Wow.
Anyway, it was a great gig and the band sounded great. It was an outdoor festival and lots of Vikings walking around at the Scandinavian festival. It was fun.
That's good old rock and roll too. I mean, that's the rock and roll from back then. And it's a tribute to Arnie and holding on to his dream too, because it's been his dream for a very long time. And there was a little inkling, I think, a couple of years ago of him being a member of that band. And that kind of didn't work out, but then he waited and he held on to that dream and that vision and boom, it happened.
And it's a different, my husband always considers himself a vocalist first, and then he plays guitar as well. And he also plays drums and bass. But and the position a couple of years ago was as the vocalist, and then he was up against, someone else. And that other person got it, whom I met this weekend. And so then when the guitarist part came up, it was a little scary for him because now he has to be the guitarist. He vocalizes a little bit, mostly backup, but now he is the guitarist and he did a fabulous job.
He plays very
and it's
well.
not just playing, but
cool.
Because they wear revolutionary like coats, right? Paul Revere and the Raiders. And he had to dance too. So it was all choreographed. We had to play and dance at the same time in this really heavy jacket. So when it was 80s, so it was warm on that stage.
I think I read his Facebook post where he was complaining about wearing the tights too. So that must be a little challenging.
Got to wear tights and some boots. All the women were like lusting after the boots. I want a pair just like that.
Oh my goodness. That's really cool. And
fun.
Kudos to Arnie. He might be listening to the show today, but you keep it up, buddy. That's pretty cool stuff. Definitely keep me informed on where we can go and listen.
Well, join us on, they're taking a cruise in January. They're on a rock and roll cruise in January. It's going somewhere in the Caribbean. And I'm guessing that there's still tickets for sale. So that would be fun. There's people on there that lots of rock and roll stars that will be entertaining the whole week of this cruise.
Last cruise I was on was with Bob Proctor in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
and many speakers. It was a speakers cruise and it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool gig.
Cool.
All righty then. So let's get on with the show. I want to remind our listeners today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com, whichever one you prefer. And while you're there, sign up for the newsletter. Jackie creates a newsletter every week and it highlights who's been on the show and who's coming on the show and her blog post about the show that we just did. So it's action-packed. Sign up for it. That's all we use that email address for is that newsletter. So it's safe.
And if you just quickly right now, if you just take out your smartphone, everybody's got a smartphone. I don't know how smart they are, but they're actually phones. And you can text 22828, Life Mastery Radio. And then you're going to get an automatic reply where you can put in your name and your email address and you're instantly subscribed to the newsletter. So you'll get it every week and let you know who's coming up. And it's a great way to know how much you want to see somebody. We have some wonderful guests. I mean, all of our guests are wonderful, actually. I should word it that way. And they all contribute so much to your feelings of the value and self-worth and goal setting. And getting in touch with, your higher power. So there's always a great reason to listen to every one of our shows.
And how could you not want to listen to something where 3 people are having a blast of their life?
That's right.
Okay, Jackie, who's our guest today? He's sitting there very patiently and listening to us ramble on and talk about our stories, but let's bring him on.
All right, let's do it. His name is Scott Shilling, and he has this goal to maximize the potential and God-given talents of every individual he comes in contact with, as well as any organization. He works from this understanding that to whom much is entrusted, much is required. And so he lives by that rule, and he's an executive coach. He's a trainer, a speaker, he's an author, and he's committed to providing inspired answers to today's challenges. Do we have any challenges? I don't, do you have challenges? Anyway, so, well, maybe some of you out there have challenges. Bottom line is that Scott helps individuals like you and organizations as well grow their market penetration, improve profitability, and grow the quality of their people. He is the author of a book called That Sucks. What now? He says it's real-world solutions for getting through what you're going through. And he's got 35 and more years of life experience in sales, marketing, training, and speaking. And he has, over those years, transformed many businesses to achieve greater sales and more profitability. So he is our guest today. His book is delightful. You're going to learn a lot by listening to him. So please welcome Scott Shilling. Yeah. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Jackie. Hey, Todd. Thanks for the opportunity. It's just fun hanging out so far.
Yeah. That's all we do.
No,
We
thank you. Thank you for showing up as you.
Yes.
So Scott, this book is, did I read right? Your 14th book?
Yeah, actually, I think it's 15th, but close enough.
Wow.
14 or 15.
So where did the title come from? I mean,
Well, it was actually kind of funny. I was talking to a friend and I didn't have the title. I had most of the book written and I didn't have the title. I was going down the legacy route and some things like that. And I was talking to a buddy of mine and somehow we started talking about it. The impetus of the book was living through a near-death experience. So that was one thing. And then, but I went back and I recapped a couple of the other things in the book, which were not so pleasant, not so nice. And he goes, man, I never knew all that stuff happened to you. And I said, well, you don't wear every butt kicking on your sleeve. It's just not the way it works. And he says, I got to ask you, what did you say to yourself after all that happened? And without thinking, I went, well, that sucks. What now?
yeah.
And he goes, what a great name for the book. I said, what are you talking about?
Boom.
I didn't even know I said it. And he said, what you just said, that sucks. What now? I said, well, I don't talk that way. He said, especially because you don't talk that way. And I said, well, I don't talk that way because I don't see it to be negative. What I mean by it is that sucks. I wish it wouldn't happen that way.
Yeah.
What now? No time to sit around in a pity party, time to get after it and fix it.
Yeah.
And so that's then when we came up with the subtitle of Real-World Solutions for getting through what you're going through. Because the one thing, if you're living, you're going to go through a challenge here or there.
I could so relate to that story in your book. I was getting ready. I was putting on an event and it was my gig and I was getting ready. I stayed up late that night. I hadn't eaten, I hadn't drank any water. And oh my gosh, I was kind of nervous about it. And 15 minutes before the show was to start, I walked in the bathroom and was going to put on my tie and the button wouldn't button. And I forced it. And I'm like, oh, I put my tie on. I walked out. I sat down to get ready to do this event. And things started to become real fuzzy. And I started to get dizzy and I had a mini stroke. Right then and there, they had to take me away to the hospital and my co-members had to continue on with the event. But I can relate to that, sitting in the hospital thinking, man, this sucks. This is bad. And so where do we go from here was that next logical thought. And I could so relate to that, Scott. It was just amazing how that story was my story.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's the what caused me to write the book is, you know, I actually went into, well, it started with the near-death experience. It started with, I had a full-blown cerebellar stroke. And if you understand the cerebellum, it's speech, memory, fine motor skills, walking, talking, vertigo. By the grace of God, I walk away with nothing.
But you were still walking and squawking, though. That's the amazing and the grace of God right there is that you were in the midst of it, but you were still functional.
And went to the emergency room for 5 hours, and they misdiagnosed it and released me with a major migraine.
Wow.
Mm.
And I went on set the next day. We were in an infomercial shoot, and I shot 3 segments, 53 minutes, 18 minutes, 14 minutes, and then went to another neurologist. And it was only in the next day when he looked at the MRI, where his first words were, "Get your butt to the hospital, check into ICU, you've had a stroke."
Wow.
And then I spent 6 days in intensive care. And the I came out of this, well, very blessed, obviously, but I typed in when I got out of the hospital, I said, well, how long, you know, as a professional speaker, how long will it be before I have the balance necessary and to be able to speak on stage? And it says, well, many people that have this type of stroke and this type of event never regain their speech and never regain their balance, and therefore never get their professional
Life back.
career back. I said, well, that's an unacceptable answer.
That sucks.
That's right. So I said, you know, how long till I can drive a car? Well, because of the hit on the brain and where the brain, you know, the intricacies of what that area handles, most people never drive again. I said, well, that's terrible. And I said, if anybody ever comes through this the way that I have, I don't want them to have to filter through all this negativity and this, oh, you're done for life kind of crud. I'm going to write a book, and I'm just going to keep track of how I've come through it.
Progress.
Not that I'm anything special. I just was a guy that wasn't going to settle with, you know, not coming back. And then as I was writing the book, I got to realize, you know, this isn't the first time I've done this in my life. I've come
Yeah.
through some pretty not fun stuff, you know.
We all have, right? That's the whole point of the book.
Well, that is it. You know, the reality is if you're living, you're going to take a hit now and then. And I'm pretty sure everybody had their business projections set to have a pandemic happen last year.
Yeah, right.
It was on my calendar.
Yeah, everybody drew that in, and the variable shutdowns around the world, right? You know, it's not the events that happen to us in our life that count. It's the events plus how we react to those events and our response that truly determines our outcomes. People are doing all sorts of amazing things after the pandemic. Many of them lost jobs that they hated to begin with and found things that now they absolutely love doing.
Mhm.
And the whole virtual thing just it changed. It's a game changer.
God's plan and timing is perfect. You know, you
Yeah.
go through all the different stuff, and you know, you can question it and you can say, gosh, I wish it wouldn't have happened this way. But I actually started teaching it this way. You can believe God's plan and timing is perfect, or you can believe that negative event shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But you can't believe them both at the same time.
Mm.
So pick one.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then once you pick it, then live it. And that's all I chose to do.
So Scott, for our listeners out there who, like Todd, might be having a stroke and try to just push that thought out of their mind, what were some of the symptoms you were experiencing that made them, you know, prognose it or as a migraine at first? Because
Well,
I think you were somewhere at an amusement park or something like that, right?
We were at Universal City Walk. We were going to Bubba Gump's for lunch. And I was walking, and all of a sudden my legs stopped. And I was literally standing on 2 tingling stumps from just above my knees down. And I looked down at my right foot and I said, move. And it said, no. And I said, move. And it said, no. And all of a sudden I started getting disoriented, and some friends that I was walking with shoved a chair behind me. I fell back into the chair. And then, I mean, there was just stuff was spinning. It was just weird. And all of a sudden, one of the guys who happened to be a doctor said, "Hey, what's your phone number?" And I went, da 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 da. Why can't you see I can't walk? Why would you be asking me that now? He goes, "Oh, no reason."
Just making
Well, I was
sure.
cold. I was gray. I was sweating profusely. I was disoriented. I was right in the middle of it all.
No.
Did you have a headache?
No, I had a headache. Isn't not right then. What was weird is I was just disoriented.
Dizzy.
But after they released me from the hospital and I went back to my room that night, I had a headache that was so bad that I cried out, "God, help." And I heard an audible drop to your knees. So I slid out of bed, put my elbows up on the bed. I said, "Lord, I've been teaching your plan and timing is perfect for the last couple of years now. I do not pretend to understand this plan or this timing. I do not believe your plan is to call me home. I do not believe your plan is to maim me or disable me. So I'm choosing to believe that your plan is to wake me up, duly noted, got my attention. And
Got
that
it.
I'm supposed to use this event to serve and save myself and others physically and spiritually for the rest of my life. And if that in fact is your will for my life, I want you to know I need your wisdom and guidance to go through that. And if that's not your will for my life, whatever you got for me, I'm good with." And I went to climb back into bed and I actually climbed up on a cloud. Zero pain, total peace, fell straight asleep, woke up the next day, went on set and shot TV shows. So, I mean, I was cradled, is the only word that I can think of the event was supposed to happen and I was supposed to learn an awful lot from it. And more importantly, then help other people along the way through it.
So what changed, Scott? What was life like before, and then how did that change your course?
Well, I had spoken a lot prior to that. So the first thing, I was actually on stage 23 days after my stroke. I had a scheduled event. I couldn't do that to the promoter, right? And then I had another one 7 days later. It's just like the responsibility kicked back in. But it really came to just trying to understand why, believe it or not, you get this little bit of survivor's guilt. When I would walk into a restaurant and I'd see somebody else, all of a sudden I picked out everybody who had a stroke, right? I could see the hand twisted or a cane or at an early age or all those kind. Yeah. And you just go, why me? And then you've got to get to that point where you get through that. And it's like, well, why not me? Help me understand what's the mission?
What am I to do now?
What am I supposed to do from here? And I think what we're doing with my mission that I wrote down 11 years before this all happened was to create a worldwide community of over 1 million people, cause over $100 million in charitable giving, and positively impact 1 billion lives on the planet. And now I had written that 11 years earlier, but it became very real. Wow, I think that's what I'm really supposed to do. And that's, by the grace of God, what I believe I'm doing today.
Wow.
That's very cool.
And so how long ago was this stroke? When did this happen?
December 14th, 2014, 3:22 p.m. PST.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Not that
Isn't that funny how I remember that?
And so that was the impetus for this latest book, because your first book was titled Talking with Giants,
Right.
which is about an experience you had in a room full of amazing people, right?
Yeah, Talking with Giants happened because Cynthia Kirby made an impassioned plea to support Habitat for Humanity. And it hit my heart like nothing had ever done that. I was in corporate
amazing.
America, in the middle of a stock play. So I was going to be a gazillionaire someday. It just wasn't that day. she said, men, the only thing we need you for is your checkbooks. Friend on my right said, I'm going to write her a big ass check. And it was a big check. And the friend on my left said, I'm going to write her a big check, but not quite that big. And they both looked at me and said, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I couldn't write the check. And I never felt so small in my life. And so what I did is I realized, well, that evening before I flew out, I was sitting in the lobby of the LAX Marriott, and Mark Victor Hansen, whose event it was walking through with Dear Abby. And he said, Scott, what are you doing? I said, I'm waiting for my red eye. He said, well, come to dinner with Abby and I. I said, okay. How many times you get that invitation, right?
Right.
And so I'm sitting there, but it was just not those two. It was the speakers and some of the people that I knew from the industry. And I said, man, I got these giant friends. And all these friends have this, they weren't as cool. I know their story. They weren't this cool back then, but now they are that cool, but they all give back. Hey, what if I wrote a book that told their stories, why they give back, who they give to, and why should we do the same thing or pick somebody else? I said, this is nothing more than talking with giants. Poof, there it was.
There you go.
So somebody wrote a book called Running with Giants. I think it was Anthony Robbins. I still do that today, where the idea is you're in a stadium and then you go down and you run around the track and you look up in the audience and you bring people down to run with you. And then you have that discussion. I still do that today. And I read that, oh my gosh, probably 12 or 15 years ago.
Well, the whole key to that was just understanding, while you can't do something sometimes, you can do something else.
Right.
And you can add value to a situation. It's just like, again, as we were talking prior to the show, this isn't about me here today. This is about you and your audience and how to provide value to them so that they can get that one little nugget or that one little piece of hope or inspiration or thought process, that takes them through whatever they're going through. Because we all do it. I mean, if you're breathing, you've got challenges from time to time.
Yep.
Cynthia Kirby is amazing. She's unstoppable. Jackie, we got to get her on the show. I haven't had her on the show in a while, but you would be amazed. I was at her 50th birthday party.
I was too.
You were?
Yeah, at the little seafood place in Marina Del Rey.
Exactly. Wow. You looked familiar when Jackie first proposed. That's amazing.
I'll send you a picture. I had just come back from Hawaii. I am probably the darkest, most tan I've ever been, with my picture with Cynthia there. My birthday is exactly a week before hers.
Wow.
So we actually celebrated 50 and a few more.
And a few more. But that was an amazing event where she just raised money. Is that the event that you were asked to donate to, or is it a different one?
Well, no, it was really her wanting to support Habitat for Humanity with the women's bill.
She created that after, I think.
Yeah. And so it was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, she's an amazing
But the
woman.
people that were there and what she was doing, what Cynthia's done for so long. And it was funny because Jack Canfield was the first to commit in the book, Mark Victor Hansen the second, Harvecker the third. And then I called Cynthia, and I didn't really know her at that time. And I said, you're causing me to write a book, so you have to be in it. And she goes, well, okay.
I got to get her back on the show. She is such a dear. And she lives right here in the Pacific Northwest where Jackie and I are. She's over on Whidbey Island. So
yeah,
I'll reach out to her. That's cool
moved
stuff.
up from SoCal or LA, whatever.
After she got married, right? She has an amazing story too.
Yeah, Blaine's a great guy too.
Cool.
What else are we to know, Scott? I mean, what else is compelling about the book? Jackie was commenting on how well it was written, how you relayed your stories. Usually when I prep for a show, I scan through the book and I read certain things that I can pick up on and kind of do a quick read on it. I found myself reviewing your book and I was stop reading every word for word. So
Well, thank you.
I'm only about 3/4 of the way through it, but it's you have some amazing stories, and I think it's a way of relating to people today. I am just blown away. You talk about millennials in the book, and they're easy to just lay down and say, I'm broken. Give me something to fix me.
Yeah, the one thing that I found, and one thing that I promote in the book, is that if there are boomers who would get their heads screwed on straight and realize millennials aren't the enemy,
Right.
and that they have tremendous amount of energy, and they actually have a tremendous amount of desire to learn wisdom. They're just not willing to learn it the way we did as boomers. We as boomers, and too many boomers, are upset with millennials because they feel, well, the millennial isn't willing to pay their dues. And what that means to a boomer is get their butt kicked often enough.
And work hard and work for it. Yeah.
Right.
And serve their country and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. But the point is that what I have found is when you go in with a helpful attitude, when you go in and say, what is it you want to accomplish? Most of them have a tremendously big dream and vision, but they don't know how to get there. And so their way of getting there is hopping from place to place because somebody has told them that's how they should do it, probably incorrectly. But what I've found, when a boomer matches with a millennial, you take the wisdom of the boomer and the desire to share that with the energy and the wanting to learn the wisdom of the millennial, and you put them together, it becomes virtually unstoppable.
Well, and in fact, in your book, you highlight the 4 stages of competence, right? So while we're talking about that, it's a great segue perhaps into what those 4 stages are, as we're all trying to gain wisdom and trying to be competent and skilled and have these talents. So maybe you could talk about that for a few minutes.
Sure. The reality is we all start in the exact same place. We're unconscious incompetence. We're incompetent to do anything, and we don't even know that we're not. I mean, we
don't know what we don't know.
That's exactly it. We don't know what we don't know, and we go from that place. And then somebody gives us at least the hint, hey, buddy, you are consciously incompetent. You now know that you don't know. And so that's where, that's when decision time starts to take place. See, I actually do this in front of audiences, and it's a lot of fun. I said, by a show of hands, how many of you don't know what you don't know?
Right.
Is it possible that somebody knows what you don't know? Is it even possible I might know what you don't know? So all I ask you is to suspend disbelief for a period of time. Let me share what I share here today and take it and do some critical thinking with it. So it's the same kind of thing. When you're unconsciously incompetent, you can't really take any action towards it because you don't even know, you don't know what you don't know. But as soon as there's plausible deniability, right? Somebody tells you, hey, you don't know how to do this, but you really should. So then you're consciously incompetent. Well, then it's decision time. What do? Well, learn what you don't know. So now you become consciously competent, which means you know that you can do something that you didn't used to be able to do. So you're making great progress. But the key is to do it. Of course, the books that tout 10,000 hours. Do something 10,000 hours to gain mastery, right? Well, then you become unconsciously competent. And what's wonderful about that is, well, you're a little bit on autopilot. You can be out there doing it. I did the same talk. I did 21,557 words, 1,500 times. And I was so consciously competent
Content ready, I think is what they call that, Scott.
That's exactly. I could be on stage thinking about it, changing my flight in my mind, thinking what I was going to have for
Right.
lunch, doing all that at the same time. Now, that's great to have that, but you can't have that come out to the audience. So you actually have to slide back into consciously being competent because it's their first time. It might be your 1500th, but it's their first time of hearing it. And so again, as we want to achieve unconscious competence, we want to achieve the very best abilities that we can do, but you model from 4, but you teach from 3. You teach from conscious competence. You teach from that place where I have to be understanding that you don't know this. And this is, it goes actually to another point of teaching and training from a 5th grade level. And the reason is because you can always get more technical or more advanced. But if you come from this unconscious competent place, you're so smart, you've got it all down, you do it so fast, you tend to blow over the top of people's heads. And when you do that, you lose them. And once you lose them, you cannot regain them.
Yeah, they're off in La La Land.
If you're starting at a 5th grade level, you can now teach to them. And if they are more of that knowledge or a knowledge-based individual that they need to have all the facts, you can get more technical, and that's okay by them. You can grow it. So it's a interesting concept that if you think through everything in life, I mean, when we're born, we're unconsciously incompetent. But I think the thing that people forget is the first time you got up to walk and fell over, they go, kid fell over, he's never going to walk. It's like,
Right.
screw this. I'm out on this. I'm not putting any more effort into this one. Are you kidding me? I think I'll just have another kid and see if that one walks faster.
Talk to us a little bit, Scott, on your thoughts and ideas about responsibility. Things happen, right? And a lot of people in today's world, things happen and they blame and they point fingers and they say, well, it's that person's fault or it's because he did this. That just creates this big snowball that builds up and builds up and builds up. And basically, I think in your book, you reflect, just accept responsibility and move on.
Yeah, it's actually a concept I learned from one of my mentors, Jack Canfield, and very honored to have worked with Jack for a long time, is responsibility is actually the ability to respond, the word itself. And if you truly want to take control of your life, take 100% responsibility for everything in your life. And somebody just went, oh, that ain't right.
Yeah.
So calm down. I'll explain. The reality is if too many people get into the 3 positions of responsibility, it's, well, Todd, it's your fault. That's blame. Well, guys, I screwed up. It's my fault. Well, that's shame.
Shame.
Or the other one is, Jackie, you just don't seem to understand what was going on when this all happened. Let me justify this. Right? So it's blame, shame, and justification. And the reality is, if we would just all take responsibility for everything, and I think we're I'm not going political here by any stretch, but I think we're at a time where there's not enough people taking responsibility.
Exactly.
There is so much blame and so much shame and so much justification going on.
And judgment too. Where does judgment play into that, Scott? Does judgment come?
Judgment is actually part of blame.
Yeah.
Right. Because I can't blame you if I don't judge you. So, if you do something, it's like, again, let's go back to pre-show when we're talking, you say, we don't script this. If I judge you and I go, well, that's not very professional. I mean, oh my, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In order for me to then blame you two, I've got to first judge that as inappropriate for the situation. Or I can say, you know what? That's freaking awesome. Fire away. Let's go. This is going to be a lot of fun. Right.
It makes
And
for
so-
great content and everybody has fun. It's not, yeah, that's true.
Well,
Totally it.
And that's the part that if unfortunately from observation, it seems like over the last couple generations, we have taken away responsibility
Yeah.
from the individuals,
Mm,
which is not ultimately doing them any favors.
no.
You know, that's why I love programs like Jackie has to teach kids to speak and to become leaders and to grow and to do those things, because leaders act differently than those who aren't leaders.
Yeah.
Right. Leaders take responsibility. They don't fire the offensive coordinator, they fire the head coach. Right. You got to get to the point where it is, again, blaming you does no good. Shaming yourself does no good. It's okay to say, gosh, I wish I would have learned something there, or utilize that event to learn something and come back from it. Right. But in the constant justification, some people call them excuses. There are justifications for things, but the reality is that if you take 100%, the divorce rate would be significantly different in this country if people took 100% responsibility.
Right.
See, there's a concept, and I think it's in the book, or I teach it. I think, yeah, it is in the book, about relationships. And people say, well, relationships are a 50-50 thing.
Nope.
Well, if I take trees from opposite sides of the river and I bring them together to touch, and then I lash them, I have a bridge, but the lashing is the only thing that's holding that bridge together. Whereas if I come 100 and now lash, now it's impenetrable.
Solid.
And what we miss in this responsibility thing, if I take 100% responsibility and you take 100% responsibility, it's probably never going to happen again. Right? Because we've both gone, I see my part in it.
See our parts.
And so again, the divorce situation would be significantly different in this country, because it's, well, he should have, or she should have,
Yeah.
right? It's like, well, no, I could have been kinder. I could have
How
been.
how do we get out of it, Scott? How do we move forward? I always like to say, we don't get to know how we don't want to be until we get there. And I think we're there, right? But how do we move forward as individuals in teaching responsibility or displaying responsibility? Is there anything we can do?
I think we have to get more balanced, period. I think we have to get back to the point. I remember, and this may sound really weird, but I remember when I went off to college, as I was actually going into the workforce, I said, I think I'm going to buy a book by Miss Manners, because I think I could use that. I think that would help me.
Hmm.
And, and it's not a small book, actually. It's a pretty big book.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I went, wow, there are so many little things that I could do so much better.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are in our country and our society. My actual platform right now, if you'd say, Scott, what's important to you? It's to return respect, honor, and dignity to the planet.
Morals, principles, and values is the way I see it, Scott. And
I agree with you, Todd. This is about, respect each other's right to have an opinion. You don't have to air the opinion 100% of the time, but respect the right that they have it. And then there are a reason there are laws in place. Abide by them. Novel concept.
it's funny that you say that, because I always get this, and Jackie's probably heard me say it, I don't know, a lot, is I'm really pulled toward taking the 10 commandments and bringing them into today with a metaphysical aspect. And, I think about this all the time. And Scott, I know what you're going to say. Todd, you need to take action.
That's right.
Thought about it long enough, Todd.
But there, you said laws, and that just clicked on me because it is like there are no laws. There are no rules. It's a free for all.
Well, it's silly when you, I mean, it's gotten to the point of ridiculousness when sixth grade kids are bowing up to a police officer.
Yeah.
Well, you could, and they got their camera filming it, and you know, I'm going to keep on saying enough things to aggravate you until you hit me, and then I'm going to
Or do
blame
something.
abuse.
Right.
You know, it's like, are you kidding me? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, a really good friend who runs besomeone.org, a wonderful, wonderful charity out of Atlanta. Orrin Hudson is his name. In fact, you should have him on his show. He's absolutely amazing.
Write that down, Jackie.
Former Alabama state trooper,
Huh?
a black man, great guy, but he's also a renowned chess champion. And so he teaches kids in the inner city chess moves because you have to think ahead of the game.
And
Right.
know the rules.
Right. So use your brains, not bullets.
Mhm.
And it's funny, we were on a call the other day and he said, Scott, I'm teaching my teenage kid. If my teenage kid ever says anything except, yes, sir, how can I, what did I do, sir, to a police officer? He goes, it might be the last thing he does. And he said,
Well-
not because of the police officer, because of me. He said, as a father, it is my responsibility to teach him how to respond to a police officer that pulls over a young black man.
Mhm.
Now, again, I've never had the kind of things that that he has had to live through and his kids have had to live through. I'm not trying to suggest that. But the point is, if that's a respect, honor, and dignity thing, you know, we have to respect those in authority. They're in authority for a reason. We have to honor those who have, you know, yesterday, our COO at Be Connected is a former Marine. And somebody said, Happy Memorial Day yesterday. He said, there's nothing happy about Memorial Day.
Mhm.
It's a day to honor those who have fought and died for our freedom. So we get to do what we're doing today.
Mhm.
You know, just all those, it's the indignity, you know, respect is how I treat you. Honor is how I lift you up. Dignity is how we both feel after that's all done. If we would return respect, honor, and dignity to the planet, it's amazing what could happen. So it
Yeah.
can't be so far to the right and it can't be so far to the left. It's got to be closer to the middle. And there's nothing, we all have choice. We all have the ability to, you know, have our opinions and all those things. What we don't have is the opportunity or the it's not a privilege. We don't have the right to impart it on somebody else. You know,
Do as
I'll
I
take-
say. Yeah.
I take this back in selling as a sales trainer. As a sales guy, I don't ever want to sell you anything, but I always want you to buy a lot from me.
Mhm.
Therefore, it's my responsibility to create an environment for you to buy. Right now, people are selling positions. These people are terrible. No, these people are terrible. No, that's all they're selling. They're trying to sell you that something isn't the way it should be. How about creating an environment where we all can coexist in peace and in happiness? You know, are there some unfortunate things going on in our world today? Absolutely. But at the same time, then we get what we focus on. Are we going to focus on the bad things or are we going to focus on the fixes? Let's focus on the fixes and be kinder and gentler and nicer and friendlier and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, isn't it true too that we should be focusing less on what do I get out of this and more
Right.
on what can I contribute to this? And I think that's another
Service.
part of that responsibility. It's not just a responsibility of action, but it's a responsibility of emotion that says, okay, so you hurt my feelings, it's your fault. No, your feelings are your feelings. I can't make you feel a certain way. And I think it's part of it is everybody they're happy to take, but where is the real solution to happiness is giving.
Well, and that's where at 17, I read Zig Ziglar's See You at the Top.
Yeah.
There's a quote in that book that forever changed my life. You can have everything in life you want when you help enough other people get what they want.
Right.
It's a pure positioning statement. Again, that's why I said, I'm third in this whole conversation. It's you guys first. It's your audience second. I'm third. But that's a decision that we all have the opportunity to make. We all have the opportunity to be of service to people. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with serving one another. I mean, the reason for coming on your show was not go, oh my God, I'm going to sell a gazillion books if I come on your show. It's, hey, what if we could bring some topics up to throw out to the audience that generates some critical thinking that could just make a difference in a number of people's lives.
Yeah.
Right.
That's totally what it's all about. Oh my
And
goodness,
whatever
my
happens
friends.
from it happens.
We only have about 4 minutes left. And Scott, is there anything we're missing?
I want to hear about the Be Connected community. We need to talk about that.
Okay, so one of the things that we did, we were pre-pandemic in our planning, but we launched in the middle of a pandemic, created a worldwide global community called Be Connected, BEEKONNECTED, Be Connected. And basically what we are is we are connections. We are dating software for the business world. Let me just make it really quick, right? It's worked really well personally for 20 years. Well, we created algorithms and artificial intelligence to now match people around the world with their ideal customer in less than 2 seconds.
Wow.
We also offer benefits to those folks so that they save money or are more efficient in their business. And then we've got Be Connected University, which is all sorts of courses that are real world courses to help people grow their businesses and reignite their economy wherever they are. So literally everybody can have a free account if you like. scottshilling.beconnected.com. Open up a free account. My guest, just really come in and play with it. You fill out your profile, you tell our system exactly who you want to meet, and then you go to the connection generator button, you hit a button, and less than 2 seconds later, 6 choices pop up for you to consider. Permission based, so nobody gets your contact information until you say they can. 5-star rating, so everybody is very self-policing. It's a no spam, no troll neighborhood.
Nice.
Scott, did you see all the light bulbs going off in Jackie's head? I just witnessed that. Boom, 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 boom. I would like to remind our listeners too that those links will be in Jackie Bailey's newsletter about Life Mastery Radio this week. So sign up for that newsletter and keep an eye out on our Facebook page for those links.
We spread the 47. We officially launched September 1st last year. We're already in 47 countries, and the people who are part of this community are world changers.
Cool.
Wow.
That's awesome. I need that link. Jackie, I'm going to read your blog so I can get that.
That's right. No, it's a lot of fun because we get to set this respect, honor, and dignity. It's those who are sick and tired of being sick and tired in the other social medias and the other business platforms.
Cool.
So
that's awesome. And it's
free.
Well, you said it was scottshilling.beconnected.com.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. You can.
And Schilling has a C in it.
Schilling has a C in it. That's right. It's the German version.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on with you. We've talked about a lot of really great stuff.
Cool
Hopefully the audience has gotten some great value out of this. Again, I appreciate the opportunity. I got to have you on my show. We'll do this in reverse.
Awesome.
Let's do it. Thanks again, Scott, for showing up as you. I happen to agree with you that this created some great content and it will live in infamy on the internet forever and ever. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Jackie, we have less than 1 minute. your blog's coming out. Any big takeaway? I saw all those light bulbs. We don't need to talk about that.
Well, one thing I had written down to ask about today is Scott provides the 5 top regrets that people have when they're
Oh,
on
yeah.
their deathbed. And I
Well, we'll
found
have
it
to
very
have him back.
interesting. So make sure that you get his book so you can read through those sections. They're really helpful for me. So,
And the name of the book is That Sucks, right? That Sucks.
what now?
What now?
Yeah.
That sucks. What now? That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, make it a great day because it's about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.